CM Punk calls out fans, WWE changing their PLEs, AEW lie and get caught, and more. I'm Luke Owen and this is the WrestleTalk News.
Support WrestleTalk!
Get exclusive videos over on our Patreon.
It's Monday and it's an episode of the WrestleTalk News, so you know what that means. CM Punk is a leading topic for today's episode. Remember that bit of the pipe bomb where Punk called out fans for waiting at airports for stuff to get signed, which they would then flog on eBay? Well, it turns out 13 years after that promo, it's still an issue. The rise of social media has seen this activity called out more and more, as wrestlers and fans alike have berated these fans who pass a bunch of items to wrestlers for signatures as they're just trying to go about their lives, and they say, well, that's a bad thing, don't do that. This video of Rhea Ripley being asked questions at an airport went viral recently when co-worker Kevin Owens checked to see if she was okay. And now CM Punk has once again called this behavior out on Instagram. He posted, "Hey guys," I don't know why I felt the urge to Jericho wave there. "Love your but friendly reminder to respect privacy and boundaries. Airports are not a meet and greet. If I have to ask you to please stop following me multiple times, you have crossed a line. Please stop this. Thank you, and stop using your child as a shield or an excuse." And you too can call these fans out in the comments down below, so go and do that, they're awful. Someone who could be soon seeing a return of fans flocking to her to ask for signatures upon her return is Charlotte Flair. It was reported via Viper on PWN's Discord last month that November was the planned timetable for Flair's return to WWE after going down with an injury last December. This led to some speculation that she could be around for this year's War Games and would be joining the SmackDown roster to be alongside her IRL husband, Andrade. However, according to Fightful Select in a new update, we will not be seeing Charlotte Flair in 2024. Fightful Select writes Charlotte Flair has been sidelined for all of 2024, and that's still the case. They add that new reports suggested she did have creative plans to be involved in the current storyline between Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton. However, WWE sources confirmed that she is not cleared yet. They add those in WWE believe there will be some time before she returns to the ring, as the injuries that she sustained were severe. Those severe injuries were tears to her ACL, MCL and meniscus. Now, those close to Flair have told Fightful Select that if anyone would return at a speedy timetable, it would be Charlotte Flair. In February, the feeling was she was ahead of schedule, and she recently posted videos of herself training online. But the key here is that she's not currently cleared by WWE to wrestle, and as Fightful Select writes, a WWE source said that until she's clear, it's unlikely creative will be put in place. Or maybe they're just telling Shawn that to keep him away from a complete surprise. After all, that was their plan for Roman Reigns this past Friday. But before we get into that, here's a trailer for our latest episode of Survival Series, where our hapless heroes were asked to name every WWE pay-per-view ever. Check it out.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Survival Series, the show where you gotta name them all. Today, I need you to name me every single WWE pay-per-view.
What? WrestleMania. What should be the big five? December to Dismember!
Ding!
A crazy time at the Coliseum.
Oh, is this WWE or is this one of those other companies? You know, the wrestling.
Just something just popping out of my head just now. This is £20. Tempest.
Better than Ivan Brett's fake ass money.
WWE everywhere. WWE excitement. WWE exit music. WWE.
This past Friday saw the USA Network return of WWE SmackDown, or as I've just been reminded by this piece of paper that was left here by Tempest on the weekend, SmackSound, or SmackOwn. Either way, it opened with Cody Rhodes retaining the WWE Championship inside a salad steel cage, and headlined by the announcement that Cody will team up with Roman Reigns to take on the bloodline of Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu at Bad Blood. Man, if this was another era, this show would have been renamed to Bad Bloodline. Roman made his return to WWE this past SummerSlam, aiding Cody Rhodes against Sikoa in the main event. He has since been on SmackDown to lay out Bloodline 2.0 before being taken out by Jacob Fatu a few weeks ago. He was then advertised for the USA Network return for SmackDown, but that advertising then went quiet. And according to Fightful Select, this is because WWE wanted to keep the thing they'd already announced quiet. Fightful Select write they decided in the last week or two to stop advertising him and to make him a surprise. Apparently Roman wasn't even listed on internal rundowns of SmackDown, as they did not want word getting out that he was backstage for the show. Again, this was something that was already announced and advertised. The worst kept secret and all that. Those internal rundowns are used by WWE producers and the like to know who is booked for a show, what plans are in place for future shows, and what injuries are going on, and things like that. They'll even note who is currently babyface and heel and who are top of those respective lists. And according to a new update from Figure 4 Online, those internal listings have an interesting note ahead of Bad Bloodline. The site claims that internal listings for Bad Blood have Sami Zayn versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship for that show. Now, that doesn't sound all that insane, does it? They're currently feuding on TV, but along with Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes versus the Bloodline, Nia Jax defending against either Naomi or Bayley, Finn Balor versus Damian Priest, Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship, and CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre inside Hell in a Cell, that would make Bad Blood 6 matches long! Since Triple H has taken over the creative direction for WWE, the number of matches for pay-per-views has moved from lot/too many to 5, which some argue is too few. Shows like SummerSlam and WrestleMania have more, but those are exceptions rather than the rule. Trips' old NXT TakeOver days would have 5-match cards. That is definitely his style. So perhaps Bad Blood is a step in a direction for more matches to be added to WWE pay-per-views, which is, let's be fair, something that the fans have been asking for. While Sami and Gunther's match has not been confirmed, we do have one official announcement regarding WWE's Bad Blood. It's starting an hour earlier. The show will start at 6 p.m. Eastern and 3 p.m. Pacific. For us here in the UK, that means Bad Blood will start at 11 p.m, which feels really weird. And some speculation online suggests that the earlier start time means the show will run an hour longer, which will allow for a 6th match to be added to the card, as it will have time for the match itself, entrances, sponsorship plugs, and Peacock ad breaks. Now, what do you make of these pay-per-view changes? Let me know in the comments down below. Now look, I've heard of wrestling promotions making changes to pay-per-views. I've heard about them not paying wrestlers. I've heard about them inflating attendance numbers for entertainment purposes. But I have never heard of a wrestling promotion telling lies. So it feels incredibly unheard of that AEW went and did just that. On Friday night, CMLL had their 91st anniversary event, which saw a lot of AEW presence, as Chris Jericho main evented the show against Mystico, along with Willow Nightingale losing her CMLL Women's Championship to Zeuxis. As Chris Jericho main evented the show alongside Mystico, along with Willow Nightingale losing her CMLL Women's Championship to Zeuxis, said it right that time, and Orange Cassidy teaming with Rocky Romero and New Japan's Satoshi Kojima, losing ever to Atlantis Jr., Volador Jr., and Ultimo Guerrero. Now, the Jericho match and the Trios match are key to this story, as they were both 2 out of 3 full bouts. Because Cassidy and Jericho both lost their matches, but they did score pinfalls, which might be why AEW put out some highlights from the show on social media and outright lied that they were victorious in those matches. As fans pointed out, that is rather, well, untrue. AEW put out a new version of the tweet 16 minutes later to say they were competing rather than being victorious. Well, that looks like it was just a small social media blunder, no biggie. Perhaps the person running AEW's Twitter account got sent the video to post and hadn't seen the matches and just assumed that Jericho won because Jericho wins, lol. An honest mistake, you might say. But that's not the case, because Tony Schiavone repeated the lie on Collision. He said over video highlights, the main event, Chris Jericho met the legendary Mystico. Back and forth they went in a 2 out of 3 falls match, but in the end, with the walls of Jericho in the 3rd fall, Chris Jericho gets the win over Mystico. But that's not what happened, did it, Tony Schiavone? Jericho won the 1st fall with the walls, but then was pinned following a frog splash and tapped out to an armbar for a Mystico win. For shame, Tony Schiavone, for shame! AEW has since put out tweets with the correct information. Now, what's your favorite wrestling lie? Let me know in the comments down below. And also, do have fun with this story because it is very funny. Let's not take this all too seriously and make me regret putting this in the WrestleTalk news. Speaking of Mexico, and Matt Riddle recently won the AAA Cruiserweight Championship in Mexico. Lovely segue there, didn't notice it at all. He also told Sports Illustrated last week that he thinks one day he could return to WWE, citing CM Punk as someone who said a lot of bad stuff about WWE and even sued them, but was welcomed back with open arms. Don't tell him about Demolition. He also said in that interview that he's had conversations with AEW's Tony Khan, but it was one that didn't really go very well, even saying, "I don't know if he likes me." Riddle explained that he tried to do some banter with Tony Khan about his match with Zack Sabre Jr. and, well, it didn't go down well. And according to Fightful Select, AEW have little interest in bringing Matt Riddle into the promotion. Sean Rossap even adds, "It was also noted to us that AEW talent almost never works with Matt Riddle on the indies, and when they do, it's in Mexico." And speaking of not being interested, let's round off this Monday episode of the WrestleTalk News with some good news from the world of wrestling. WWE might be getting rid of Def Rebel. If you don't know the name Def Rebel, that's because they make music no one notices or even listens to. They've been derided by fans over the last few years for their rather bland WWE entrance themes, and it would seem, like Fraser Crane, WWE are listening. PW Nexus are reporting that WWE will not be renewing their contract with Def Rebel once it expires, instead moving to using mainstream artists going forward for themes. Megan Thee Stallion, for example, provided a new theme for SmackDown, which Twitter tells me went down very well. Lol JK, Twitter is a dumpster fire. Now go and watch the latest episode of Survival Series, where we had to name as many WWE pay-per-view names as we possibly could.